Hello folks, St. Patrick's Day approaches. It's time to make corned beef and cabbage. The recipe we're going to show here has been developed and refined over a number of years until it reached perfection. That's why we're going to call it the perfect corned beef and cabbage. Here's our lineup. A brisket, corned beef brisket, 2 to 3 pounds. Sugar, 6 potatoes. I prefer the red ones. No good reason you can use any of them. An onion, 3 cloves of garlic, mustard powder, whole cloves, celery seeds, bay leaves, ground black pepper, and a can of chicken broth. And of course we're going to have a nice head of cabbage. I almost forgot to mention we're going to need some apple cider vinegar. We'll be using this crock pot to prepare initially the corned beef brisket. Then we're going to remove it. We're going to wrap the brisket in foil. We're going to transfer the fluid, the soup, if you wish, to a holding container. We're going to cool both overnight in a refrigerator. And then on preparation day, we're going to be able to slice the corned beef, because now it'll be firm. And this corned beef will practically melt in your mouth. So we need it to be firm so we can slice it up. Then we're going to combine everything back in a final cooking pot, and we're going to then throw in the potatoes and the cabbage and cook on the stovetop for about another hour and then serve. Okay, so here we go. We're going to place the brisket in the crock pot, pushing it down, I guess, as well as we can. Seasoning normally comes with a brisket. We're going to add that. I recommend getting a better pair of scissors than the one I have. And we've cut up the onions and the garlic, so we'll add those now. We cut up the onions and the garlic, and we've added those now. We'll add 1/2 teaspoon of celery seed, and we'll add 1 teaspoon of yellow mustard powder. We'll add 1 bay leaf, and we'll add 1/2 teaspoon of coarse ground pepper, and we'll add 3 tablespoons of sugar. We'll add 3 whole cloves. We'll pour in one 14.5 ounce can of chicken broth. We'll add 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. That's it for now. We're going to cover the crock pot. We're going to cook on low for 8 hours. Here we are, about 9 hours later. We cooked in the crock pot for 8 hours, and we've let it cool for about an hour. So here's what we have. Now we're going to remove the brisket and wrap it in foil, and we're going to let both the brisket and the juice cool down by refrigeration overnight. I poured the juices from the crock pot in this large pot that I'm going to use for the final cooking in the morning. And here's the brisket ready to be wrapped up in the foil. So both of these will be put in a refrigerator and allowed to cool overnight. In the morning, the brisket will be firm, so it can be easily cut. And if there's any excess fat in the juice, it'll float to the top and be solidified so I can remove it. So here we are the next morning after the the juices here have been refrigerated overnight. You can see that the excess fat has floated to the top and hardened. We're going to remove that. And now for the brisket. You see how firm the brisket has become? It's going to be very easy to cut now. We look at where the grain is going. It's going this way. So we're going to cut, let's see. This brisket, this grain is going at an angle. So I guess, well, we'll still go directly against the grain. We'll cut it into approximate 1/4 inch slices. You see how nice it cuts. Had we not refrigerated it, this would be falling apart when we try to do this. We'll return the brisket to the fluid. Next we'll quarter the potatoes like this. Now I think I originally called for 8 potatoes, but I think that's too many. I'm going to cut that back to 6. I quartered the potatoes. Originally I called for 6 potatoes, but I think that's too many, so I cut it back to 4, and that's what we use here. We've cut the cabbage into wedges. They'll go into the pot too, on top of everything. Okay, here we go. Everything's back in the pot on the stove. I'm going to cover it We're going to bring it rapidly back to a light boil and then turn the heat down and just simmer it until the potatoes are done. We'll check every so often. I said 1 hour on the recipe, but really it's until the potatoes are done. Okay, I've been checking this. It's been about 45 minutes of simmering, and I believe that everything is done now. The potatoes are done, the cabbage is done. We're ready to serve. So there you have it, folks. The perfect corned beef and cabbage for your St. Patrick's Day festivities or anytime.